How are you? This is Derrick, Dog FAFO, and welcome to the FAFO Oracle. It's a brand new channel here on YouTube, and we are here because I just really needed something new to do with my life. And why not start here? Um, just so that you become acquainted with me. I am a psychic medium. I'm an intuitive reader. I'm a highly sensitive empath, discovered by trial by fire, if you will, that I am a Heyoka. Um, Not really something that I gloat and brag about because it's one of those things that I found out more happenstance, and I it's much easier to describe as it's happening or maybe right after. But regardless, that's enough of that aspect. I'm also an emotional wellness and healthcare coach, and uh, what that is essentially you get these people, all of us actually, that no matter what they do with their health care, they're always in the search of happiness. And if you feel you're happy for some reason, you may still be looking for it. Well, that's a lot of what I do. I help people find the modalities to happiness, and a lot of that deals with some inner self discovery. I help to facilitate personality tests, things like the Myers Briggs personality evaluation, to help people figure out more about themselves. I'll ask questions in my intakes about, and of course, this is all stuff that you don't have to share, and everything is done, under, under the priority and the umbrella of confidentiality with a client. But you figure out these things, mental health, physical health, all of these aspects to come together. And my biggest push is to literally get out there and motivate people to start acknowledging emotional health as a significant pillar of healthcare. We don't take it nearly as serious, not because we don't want to. I really believe as a society we do. We just don't have an avenue for it. And I think that's where it needs to be taken more seriously. You know, if we had a clinic that supported emotional health care, I guarantee you there would be people who would be applying for it. If it was covered by health insurance, I guarantee you people would be out there getting their emotional health care appointments taken care of just to figure out with health how to be happy. Simple as that. How to be happy. Well, until we until we can figure out how to influence the world in recognizing emotional health care is that significant of an aspect to our overall health, uh, I'm on a mission, as I'm sure many others are, to go on ahead and guide people through their pursuit to recognizing where the foundation to their own happiness is. And that's a lot of what I do with my fun time. This right here, oracle and card readings, things like that, I do for entertainment purposes only. I am not offering personal readings at this time. However, that is subject to change. Um, I I come on here, and the reason for this is because I feel called to deliver messages and downloads and things like that that do come from me, do come for me and to me from source. I wake up with, dreams and everything like that. And suffice it to say, at times I'll listen to a reading and feel kind of guilty for being maybe that one person that needs to get up and get going. And the messages have been out there and been out there and been out there. There are many of us, I'm sure, that are just trying to wake up. Well, as we are awakening, that comes with a flip and reconnecting with the fact that we're spirits having human experiences as opposed to being humans coming into a spiritual experience. And so, in that reconnection, whether you're chosen or not, or if you just decided to take this divine calling, which I do believe could be considered of divine choosing, depending on how you look at it, um, always willing to have a conversation to hash that out. You know, I believe every single one of us are extensions of God. Our souls are it. If you think about like a cell that does that whole ganglious thing where everything sprouts out like that, or like whatever those little fruity lychees, or where everything comes out of. That's how I think people are with source being right there, and actually everything, not just people. Which is a very tiny fraction of what's out there, in the totality of everything covered under God's energy, which is, well, everything, good, bad, or otherwise. All right. So with that said, um, we'll go on ahead and talk about a little bit of what we'd like to accomplish with this channel, and that is to go on ahead and just provide some daily motivation. Maybe treat it sort of as like a card and energy forecasting. I do get into tarot or anything like that. I will tell people with these readings being for entertainment purposes, this is fine. These readings are for collective and general energies only. Um, they may resonate, they may not. Some of it may resonate with you, as others may not. If something's not resonate, please don't try to make it fit your situation. That right there could probably end up doing more damage than good. And further, don't go off on everything or anything in your life based solely on what you may hear in a reading or readings, because that right there could be is equally toxic. Really use a lot of discretion when you're coming to a reading like that. It's a beautiful thing to be able to receive communication and even communicate with a community of like-minded and like-hearted souls. And I fully endorse that, which is why I'm encouraging you going ahead and be sure to use discretion, as I'm sure many other readers do. Um, uh, just so you know, in addition to this, Doc FAFO, will also be putting out a podcast that does cover the emotional health endorsements that I went ahead and covered. But for this channel in particular, we're going to be putting out readings. And um, in addition to readings, we'll also be doing a little bit of emotional guidance with things like art. I do get into color therapy. I've been a Reiki practitioner, certified herbalist and aromatherapist, or aromatherapy certified. I'm not going to call myself an aromatherapist. I think that's just kind of crass. I took a course. I use the information in there. I don't do it professionally, not as an aromatherapist, but I do incorporate it into a lot of my own practices and my daily routines. However, I plan on conveying that to you. All right. I do read cards. In addition to reading these cards, I had also created an oracle deck. And hell, I've been reading for so long, I ended up stopping, and we're coming up on uh, close to 6 years this uh, here in less than a week that I did stop reading. And the reason why I had is because I believe firmly that energy transference is real. And I, as a reader, was not able to find where my grief stopped and, was able to compartmentalize and channel through my body because of the fact that I felt so filled with that grief in order to impartially convey messages to, the seekers, the querents that come to these channels that are looking for that guidance. Or, even in face to face readings. I was not one that did social media type readings like this. I was more about paracons and things like that. I was, at several within the New England circuit as my paranormal career was budding. And when uh, my mom passed away, I literally had to dial it back because, I think it was God's obvious message that it was time for self love and discover what that looked like. And throughout that journey, and we'll unpack that throughout my journey and our journey through this channel, but in that art of self discovery uh, came, a lot of clarity. And if I were to do this through all of that, I would have put off a lot more work, and it would have probably crippled me away from doing this today. And I'm grateful that I did make that decision, no matter how far setback it seems. I also believe that with God, we're always on time, under God's time, divine time. All right, so I'm going ahead and with what I was called to with this reading is bring up the overall theme, and by doing so, it came to me by way of a poem, and I'd like to share this poem with you. This poem is named or called "The Bravest Step," and it says, "I'm here at that point. It's square one again. This time is different, though. I'm bringing my new best friend. I must admit, though, he's always been there. The change came in through how I decided to care. Long left behind, but surely never forgotten, we had another chance to connect while we were both downtrodden. I by the company I kept, and him by me. How did I oppress him so consistently? The day it had hit me was during the loss we'd incurred, such a sudden blow to our life, reuniting us through the hurt. The crossing of our mother drew us back within, now mentally face to face, never having left our own skin. Do you remember me? He asked as the mist cleared away. I've always known you, I replied, tears gracing my face. You couldn't know. His response hit us, right in the place where my reply fell short. I watched you grow away as an abandonment of sorts, seeing you race toward adulthood where we couldn't play anymore. Everyone around us surely had influenced me, but it was through a growing silence that we'd slipped so distantly. Always moving forward became the day to day for me, and as time rolled on, our connection became a memory. In that disconnect entered sadness, depression, anxiety. Yet at the same time, that young man was blindly mirroring me. Upon my mom's crossing, entered a new day one for us. Both lost in grief, he took me in unconditionally. One day at a time, my new bond with him is now truly sacred, grateful for how he's shielding me, healing me. I admit this is my inner child. It's true. Let me introduce you. So, what would you do if your inner child cried to you? There you have it. So, what I'm picking up is that there's a need for people to reconnect with who they are, maybe at their most basic selves. And part of my mission is to get out there and help people bring themselves back to their inner child. And it was something that through my own discovery, I had felt that was the most profound thing that had hit me. And I'm glad that it did because I'd been able to work out so many different things that I had stuffed from early on all the way through. And I've been through quite a bit, you know. Well, maybe you don't. That's the idea here. Um, all in the unpacking process. But with that said, I really feel that maybe now's the time to focus on our most inner parts to connect and maybe come and discover more genuine parts of ourselves. It may answer in our own lives unexplained hurts that we, you know, may overlook or may shoulder to a point that we don't necessarily notice it as an ongoing trauma. But, you know, like any significant injury, say to the feet, the leg, or the hips, or the back, can absolutely change a person's walk for the rest of their lives, even subtly, depending on the injury, no matter how significant. So let's take a look at what the cards are saying. And for this, I am going to pull out MJ Cullinan's Urban Oracle, Urban Pro Oracle, and we're going to get an overall theme for those of us who are looking into reclaiming that inner child and that happiness that's there. And how interesting, and it comes out. So we have balance and risk, and I'll show you these cards here in a second. All right. So the first card that came out was balance, and that right there is number 4. And I find it amazing that it did come out. And of course, the next card that came out was risk. And it's right. Taking a look at that, put the numbers together. That's 441. 414 may be significant, but definitely 44. If you've been seeing 44 or 414 or 441, any of those numbers, 144, it could also indicate that you're chosen. Um, up and around you, this reading may be for you. But what I'm picking up with balance showing up is there's a calling in there in order for you to really achieve what you may be looking for within yourself, that inner peace. You can have peace expressed, but it really doesn't feel the same as that inner peace, that absolute calm, that detached yet attached state where you can sit there stoically within your own mind and watch everything around you, in this beautiful, peaceful fashion, you know, and coming up with it is risk. And I think what's being asked is now's the time to really take that risk, to step out there, to figure that out, because you may be very well missing out on so much that you're most likely, and from what I'm picking up, you're divinely entitled to. There are things that you're carefully able to pick and select, and the abundance is there provided you take the risk, but you'll never know. And it's much like me coming up and doing videos for the first time. To me, this is a huge step, you know, and I'm grateful that I'm taking it, but no matter what, huge nonetheless. And I've always come to admire a lot of the readers that were out there, and I would watch it from time to time. And the readers that, come across my path are, those like Chelsea over at iHeart Aries. Then you have Lady OG, or Jasmine over at Spiritual Healer 777. You've got, Alyssa over at Mermaid Scales Tarot. I was just communicating with her briefly the other day, and she's she's going through, quite a bit. But I let her know that her readings were an inspiration, at a time when I was watching them here and there, and there was a lot of thanks and definitely so much well wishing that had come from it in that communication. So special shout out to you, Alyssa, and Brooklyn over at Brooklyn Born Tarot. You as well. Most recently, you've become quite the light for me. Being able to share satire and being able to embrace a lighthearted approach with readings. I went ahead and owe this one to you. So it was a massive shout out to you, Brooklyn. Thank you very much. And the same goes to all the other readers, like Chad over at Minnow Pond Tarot. Beautiful reader, great perspectives, love his insights. And for all of these readers, I suggest, and I'll be putting them down in the description box below, go ahead and check them out. They provided a lot of high value to me. I'm brand new, and chances are likely you've already been checking these folks out. But with this reading being timeless the way it is, for those of you who are just now encountering this reading and you've not, by all means, please do. There's a wealth of knowledge and insight, a lot of compassion, and a lot of divine influence and guidance over there that I encourage you to check out. So thank you. And with that said, let's get back to this. All right, so taking a risk and rediscovering your inner child. And I think what it's asking here is twofold. One, take laughing seriously, but don't take life seriously. So definitely have the two where you should be taking one seriously and the other not. Take the risk, flip it, and it's going to require doing something like getting out of your comfort zone. You notice I'm bringing up the two, and that's because number 4 is all about balance. And by incorporating, I think, a lot of the lighter sides of things, it really takes a lot of that pressure off of what stops us up. Instead of getting out there to do something by necessity, get out there and do it out of curiosity. And that's where a lot of where I came with being a coach comes in. Um, Trying to figure out my own coping mechanisms and the things that were making me happy. Getting frustrated as shit. Now, mind you, after a 30-year career in healthcare, getting frustrated because I've got these diagnoses. I know the path that I'm taking. I can't be happy doing it. Luckily enough, and thank God, I've got art and I have this wherewithal to get out there and discover it. And over this course, I discovered different modalities, different art medium to get me through. Okay, so that's what I'm here to do. All right. So now that we've got that out there, let's go on ahead and see what the tarot is saying about it. I'm going to use the Rider Waite deck. And I would originally been over there at that table doing this reading, but I just wasn't satisfied with the way the lighting is. As you can tell, I've got one light that's directly over it. It's too bright. That fluorescent light stuff really kills it. There's a reflection off of the cards and everything like that. But this is sufficient for me. I was more compelled about getting the message out there, and I think that right there is uh, the bigger deal for me. I can pretty it up down the road. My idea is to get in here and settle down with you guys. Anyway, thank you for checking us out. If you like what you're seeing so far, please hit comment, share, like, subscribe. Show the channel some love. Also, it'll let me pick up on any of your energy that is, um, excuse me, already happening. Okay, so part of how it works with me is if there are energies coming in that are counter to certain chakras, I get hit with it. And whenever it's solar plexus or stops up with I do stuff, I'll get indigestion. You'll hear me burp. Throat chakra blockages will show up as tickles, scratches, ticks in my throat, outright coughing. And believe me, I cough like crazy sometimes. But it's all right. So we're insisting on getting three cards out. This is the third time, but I think it's necessary. So what are we looking at? Okay, three off the shoe. Basically, what I've got here is the Hangman in reverse with the Ace of Cups upright, trailing by the Nine of Swords. All right, so that definitely makes a lot of sense. We're definitely up in our head here. And I look at the Nine of Swords also as the Nightmare card. You know, anxiety, you're up at night, you're worrying about this. This right here is the card where you know, really consumed in a lot of fear. You know, it can keep you up at night and everything like that. Uh, to me, it screams the anxiety card because of maybe a new beginning. For those of you who are going through new beginnings or just wanting to step forward, this could resonate with you. All right. It's a lot of water so far, and we've definitely got some air. In fact, Gemini showing up at the Nine of the Cups here. Um, but I've got water with Pisces energy here with the Hangman in reverse, and Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio here with the Ace of Cups. But what I'm noticing here is with the Hangman in reverse, you're kind of stopping yourself. You know, you see an opportunity, but it's sort of giving more of like the major arcana version to say the Four of Cups, like you know that you've got a solid opportunity, but you're kind of choosing to not do anything about it, or you're looking at it and maybe you're overanalyzing it. No matter what, um, in the Hangman in reverse position, it looks like you're getting ready to come down from that, and it's good because as long as you're getting past the anxiety, right on the other side of accepting this, you're looking at a brand new emotional beginning. The Ace of Cups is coming in, so the divine is going to hit you with something beautiful and emotional. Um, this could be a divine gift, say maybe an increase in your intuition. You may receive, messages of sorts. And what I'm looking at here um, is more of the divine responding in kind to you answering an intuitive calling. But you have to get out of your head in order to meet it, and it's literally just on the other side of you stepping down out of that hangman position. All right, so what else do we have here? Can I go ahead and get another card spirit, please? What else do we have here? What does the collective need to see at this time? How can they get out? Clarify that Nine of Swords, if you will. What's going on there? What's got them up in their head? Let's see it. Okay. We're going to check this out real quick. Once we figure out what's up in their head, your head, whoever you are, shout out to you. It's not easy, I know. But with all the blessings that I could possibly send you, please, the healing energies it takes for you to get past it, certainly, let's get you out of your head. All right. Oh, my goodness. You got to be kidding. All right. So with the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, that's the second ace that's showing up here, and it's a very important one. This is talking about a big divine intervention with abundance that's coming in. So this right here is probably going to lead to a lot of beautiful prosperity. I mean, that's a huge gift, usually by way of like um, material abundance, prosperity. It could be family addition, something that's really huge and it's brought in by the divine. But clarifying it, getting out of that Nine of Swords brings in your Seven of Pentacles. So you have these opportunities, but once you hone in on the one that you're taking, right, you've got the Four of Wands, and yet another card that's talking about that foundation again, mirroring your oracle card for balance out of the oracle deck. Okay, it's a beautiful foundation, and it's talking about the solid foundation and a divinely, guided beginning. And if you believe in your archangels as I do, this right here is also a card of Archangel Michael. All right, so knowing that, let's go on ahead and introduce my deck here, and I've got about 5 minutes left to do that. So, crossing this Four of Wands and taking a look at everything, noticing that it's a pretty decent outcome and certainly divinely protected by what I'm looking at. Let's see what we're doing on this side of the fence for you. And I have what I call my own personal Doc FAFO, Gap Zone, F Bomb Arsenal Oracle deck. And this deck is, in short, 50 to give when needed. And so in this situation, we're going to figure out what fuck you need to give in order to get past it, overcome it, and take you on your shortest, maybe um, easiest path to success. All right, so the card that comes out, card number 6, fuck well. We'll let you see it. Looks a little backwards there, but I think we can deal with that. At any rate, the card reads the infinite capacity to give endless fucks to something near personal to oneself. All right, in short, and the angel number here is 6, if you believe in that. The message is proactively place your energy entire um, into creating an entire world centered around the things that bring you the most joy. So it's basically wrapping up everything that we were putting into this message. All right, fuck wealth, and that right there is one word. Fuck wealth number 6. You will find it in my oracle deck. A Philanthropy Zone F Bomb Arsenal. I will be dropping an F bomb of the day in the shorts here as we're moving forward and everything like that. But just taking a look at this reading and everything like that, really, it's just a matter about you getting in there and grabbing deep. Now, mind you, if you feel that you can't do it alone, that's perfectly fine. If you have somebody in your corner, get them. Don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid to do so. Getting ahead is probably one of the best things that you can. And that little bit of advice that you kind of, chomp at the bit on and get to might very well be the saving grace that puts you in that very different step. Admittedly, I'm doing that here in myself. I spent too much time. This channel should have been out weeks ago. And I spent too much time frissying up and footing around trying to figure it out. Well, I have a podcast themed on stuff like this too, and I'll get into that the next time. But I want to go on ahead and thank you all for sticking it out, being with me for this right here. Um, I'll have everything down with a link to my email. If you want to reach out and talk or anything like that, let me know. I'll have that down in the description. I'll be putting out a podcast soon. I'll be eventually incorporating that, and here soon we'll also be bringing out merchandise. That right there goes in ahead and conducts the reading for today, and we'll be looking at seeing you again tomorrow. Again, this is Dr. FAFO, and thanks again for joining the FAFO Oracle.